Hey, it's Beck. I just saw an interview that Jon Stewart did with Raphael Warnock, who is, the senator here from Georgia, the Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock. He preaches over at Ebenezer Baptist Church, which is where Dr. King was known to be a preacher. His church is practically attached to the MLK Memorial site here in Atlanta. So yeah, he's a Christian minister. And y'all know I'm pretty anti-religion, so, if I'm getting up in the religion stuff, it's serious. But he said something that really struck me that I wanted to share with you. He said, quote, "The acid test of the authenticity of your faith is the depth of your commitment to the most marginalized members of the human family. You can't pray and then crush the poor." And this, of course, was in response to Jon Stewart asking about how people like Mike Johnson claim that faith is the basis for them, cutting people's benefits, etc. And to that, I wanted to add one of my favorite quotes from C.S. Lewis. He wrote a book called The Screwtape Letters, and I actually have a reading of this full letter posted on one of my playlists. I think it's under my poetry playlist, where I do a reading of this in the voice of one of the demons here. But he wrote a full book called The Screwtape Letters, which was two devils corresponding with each other, discussing how to corrupt the souls of man. And in one of the letters, one of the greater devils is instructing the lesser devil, and he says this: "Do what you will, there is going to be some benevolence as well as malice in your patient's soul." By the way, the patient is the person they're trying to corrupt. "The great thing is to direct the malice to his immediate neighbors, who he meets every day, and to thrust his benevolence out to the remote circumference, to people he does not know. The malice thus becomes wholly real, and the benevolence largely imaginary." And the reason I bring up that quote is that Raphael Warnock brought up Mike Johnson, where, he claims to be such a man of faith, and then he goes and cuts people's health benefits and cuts people's retirement benefits and gets in the way of women's health care. So Jon Stewart was trying to get at, how do you justify your type of Christianity with the type of Christianity that Mike Johnson is claiming to practice. And, of course, Raphael Warnock responded with this beautiful quote that I just read you at the beginning. But what I wanted to ask so I have come from the other side of this. I was on the conservative Christian side of American politics for a really long time. And my programmed answer to that question is how can you call yourself a Christian and then cut people's health benefits? My programmed answer to that question would be, I don't disagree that people deserve health care. I just disagree that the government has to pay for it. I don't think that the government should be the one paying for it. We shouldn't force people to pay for the health care of others because it removes the charity from it when they haven't chosen it themselves. It's the whole taxation is theft kind of idea. And that would have been my answer to it. Well, Mike Johnson, sure, of course he believes people should have health care. He just doesn't believe that it's the government's place to pay for it. And to that, I have an answer. I would like to ask Mike Johnson how my friend who has lost access to government-subsidized health insurance, lost her access to Medicaid because of this big, ugly bill, my friend who has lost access to health treatment because of the cuts, how is he helping her? What actions has he taken, Mike Johnson? What actions has Mike Johnson taken to help my friend here in Georgia who lost her benefits? And the answer would be none. He can talk about how he would, how he should, how people oughta, but he himself has never taken any action to help my friend who can no longer afford her medication. And then I would have to ask him, well, of course, Mike Johnson's answer is, well, I can't help everyone, can I? I'm just one man, right? And I would call upon the other Christians in her area to help her, right? The church should help. She should go to church and the church will help her, right? That would be the answer. And then my follow-up question would be, what actions have you taken that have harmed her? You've taken no actions that have helped her. You've passed that buck to someone else. What actions have you taken that have hurt her? And the action someone like Mike Johnson or someone who votes Republican has taken to hurt my friend specifically is that their votes empowered politicians to take away her access to health care. They voted for people that are getting in the way of her getting health treatment. So they've taken one action to hurt her and 0 actions to help her. So if their harm can spread to people they don't even know by virtue of their votes, can their help not spread the same way? And it can. You just have to vote for people who will help support the folks who can't afford health care. You have to vote for people who will increase benefits, because these folks are more concerned about Elon Musk not paying taxes, about their second home getting taxed in New York. Their second home over $1 million getting taxed extra in New York. They're worried about that. They're more worried about that than they are about the fact that my friend can literally not afford her medication anymore. And they say that they're helping. They say that charity is a tenet of their faith. But as C.S. Lewis said, the great thing is to direct his malice to his immediate neighbors and thrust his benevolence out to the remote circumference, which is exactly what the American GOP, the Christo-fascist GOP, has done. They talk about charity. And maybe, you know what? They helped out that one person in their town that one time. Maybe they did that. But the problem is their actions are hurting my friend here in Georgia, and their actions are not helping my friend here in Georgia. They're letting their harm permeate, but they're doing nothing to let their charity permeate, to let their help permeate. They stop that from happening. And what they don't understand is that the actions they take in the voting booth can actively harm or help someone. And they choose the one that harms. They choose the people that cut the benefits to my friend here in Georgia. And they don't support things that could potentially get her health care, that could potentially, oh my God, let her stop working a full-time job when she can't stand up. They love to let the harm permeate, but they won't let the help go that far. Their benevolence is thrust out to the circumference, people they don't know. Someone else should be helping her. Some other Christian should be helping her, not me. I can't help everyone, but you can hurt everyone. And you do. So if you can hurt everyone, you need to use that power to help everyone. And it is as simple as that. Frankly, I wouldn't want to worship any kind of God that disagreed. Your voice is important. Your vote is important. Speak, act, move. The government is here to do it with us. It is the voice of our collective consciousness. It should be the vehicle of our collective action. What action do you want representing you? Do you want impoverishing people representing you? Because that's what's happening. Do you want people foregoing medical and dental care? And that's representative of you? Or would you rather have this action group that represents you and what you want and your will moving forward to be one that does the charity you believe in? One that takes the actions that you find to be congruent with your faith? I don't know. You want to let your faith cut people off from healthcare. You want to let your faith keep certain books out of libraries, but you won't let your faith take care of the poor and the disabled? I think that voice you're hearing when you're on your knees next to your bed at night ain't the voice of any God I would worship. Stay safe out there, friends, and keep fighting the good fight.